Hello everyone. As you can see, here it is a little bit more light outside. But basically, right now I'm recording this video, it is 8 p.m. evening, or I can say it is night. But you see there is a lot of lights still outside. This brings me to share for those who do not know about time differences here in Western world, or in the US in particular, and different seasons. There are seasons where the sun goes down very early or very late depending on the season, and I will explain to you what season we are right now and why during right now, which is 8 p.m. in the evening or night, there is still light outside. A little bit this one can help to others who wants to come and stay here so they get confused, because myself, when I came to America for the first time, I came in the month of August. I didn't know much of this difference which I'm seeing right now, and it made me a little bit confused because sometimes the dark used to go up to 9 p.m. There is still light outside, so that confused me a little bit more. So let me break down a few things to you which might be very helpful to you. So thank you everyone. Okay, let me start. So there are basically 4 seasons. And these seasons is basically I can start with let me start with the winter, then spring, then summer, then fall. So these 4 seasons have difference in terms of how you feel, in terms of whether it is cold, whether it is very hot, whether it is snow, doesn't snow. So those are the differences which you can be able to see. And again, another difference is what time there is a sunrise and sunset. So if I start right now, today is May 3rd, 2020. So May 3rd is, we are in the middle of spring, but going to summer. So spring season starts around March, beginning of March. That is when we start with the spring. Then we go to summer, which is almost end of May. Almost end of May is the typical summer starts. Summer goes up to beginning of August, and then we start with the fall, or people in Europe they call autumn autumn season. But here is just like, I'll say, why is it called the fall season? And then we go for the winter. Winter starts in the mid of or end of October, going to almost February. So when we start winter, October, depending on which state you are, when you are in the month of October, going end of October, going to February, it is very cold in many states. Very few states which I will tell them they are exceptional, but it is very cold. It is cold to the extent that most of the states they have snow. At that time, almost there will be no leaves like this. You cannot see the green because the leaves have already been gone. I'll explain the season prior, which is the fall. And also it's very cold. The sun, the dark starts maybe at 4:30. It is dark outside. And when you wake up in the morning at 7:30 in the morning, it is still dark outside. So there is a very small hours window of during the daylight or during the light outside. So that is the difference, and that's why many people here, they usually gain a lot of weight during the time of the winter, because they leave very early, during the dark in the morning, they go to work, they come back when it is already still dark outside, they come back at that time, and then you just stay outside. It's cold. Some places you cannot go and work out around that time. So that make a lot of effect to many people. So it's just like watching TV, work, and then come on sleep. Most likely like that way. So many people, they eat like most of the food with fat or something like that, and it make a lot of people a little bit gain weight. Myself, I'm one among those kind of victims gaining weight during the winter, because you cannot do a lot of outdoor activities. Even walking outside is very difficult. Why should you go to outside when it is negative degrees when it comes to the normal centigrade, not to the Fahrenheit? So that is the biggest one. Then So at that time I said the sun is just like the dark starts at 4:30 up to maybe 7:30 there is dark outside. Then from there we come to the second part. So at that time, even in the hours, because we say the daylight saving in November, we are changing the hours. For that, it makes a lot of difference. So I will talk about that later, maybe, or other videos. But then we are coming to the month of around March. That is the spring. What are the basic features of the spring? During the spring, there are following things which happen during that month of spring. Number one is the light. The dark usually starts at 4:30, so the time goes a little bit around. The light will be out up until around maybe 6 or 6 something, going to 7. At that time, then we are changing. We lost the hour when we started the winter, and especially beginning the first Sunday of November. So we gain back the hour which we lost in the month of the first week of March. The first Sunday of March is when we gain that hour back. So for that to gain that hour back, it changes, like the dark also at that point is starting getting around a little bit in a normal way, I can simply say. So the dark starts at 6:30, that is when it starts. And in the morning, instead of maybe 7:30 being dark, you can start maybe a little bit at 7. So we start having a little bit of more light at that time. So spring is also when the flowers is starting coming back. Then when we see these green leaves is starting coming back. And flowers, so that is the spring, and that's when we have what we call flu season, or cold. The colds, people are getting some allergies because of the pollen, flowers, and all those in nature. And that's why when we were talking about the COVID-19, it came at the bad time during the winter, but also during the time when we are starting to see, we're going to see the flowers. So for that case, it makes a little people to have that big effect on the life of people. Because if there are those kind of flowers, pollen, and all those one, there can be the something which can affect or can cause more about the COVID-19 to be more aggressive, if I can say that way. So that is something else. Then spring goes to until May. So right now I'm recording, as I said, it is May 3rd, but usually it goes up to when the school closes around May 20, May something, whatever. That is when summer, we are starting, the spring ends, then summer starts. At that time, the degrees is not cold. That's why I can wear a t-shirt. I can wear a little bit. If I wear a little bit of light of jacket, it's few days going to be cold, but in most cases it's still much better in terms of the degrees, in terms of the weather. Then from there we are going to talk. So during the summer, so like now we see it is 8:30. Right now is already almost 8:30. Is that way. But during the summer, the sun is going to set maybe almost 9 p.m. You will see it still be light outside. So you cannot go. You can be like, you go at 6 in the morning. There is light outside. That's number one. But also, if you say you go early in the morning, there is light outside. That will be like, let's say at 6 a.m. or there is light outside, but also there is light until 9:30. Until maybe almost 9:10, whatever. There is light outside. So that is the time many kids enjoy to be more outdoor activities, outdoor, doing everything outdoor. So people can be a lot of workout, people going to the beach, going everything. So the summer starts from May, and it is going up to August. When it's up to that time, still up to almost 9 p.m. there is the sun outside. Then we are starting the fall or autumn season. Autumn is how they call it in Europe, but in the US they simplify. They call this is just the what kind of season? They just call fall. Fall in a simple way is just falling of the leaves. So the leaves, as you can see, they'll change the color from green to almost like yellow, to purple, and the leaves is starting falling down. So you'll find all the leaves are down, and that is when it is very, very beautiful. By the way, the temperature is starting going down. So the temperature is just like a spring temperature in terms when it is not that hot, but everything will be shiny, green, yellowish, purplish color, and then it is starting like falling of the leaves, and then the sun or the dark starts again around 8, just like now, and it's starting coming back to winter. At that time is when the school year starts. Usually school year starts end of August. That's what we call the fall semester or the new academic year for both in colleges and also for school, from primary school or grade school to high school. And then you go for the winter in the end of October going to February. So there are states with so much very heavy winter. There are states with very light winter. And there are states with completely no snow at all. It's just like you are in Africa's tropical, like if you're in California, if you are in Florida. Those are states that's why sometimes California is very expensive, because you're in the beach, then there is the entire year, you don't need to wear any jacket, so that's why it's a little bit more expensive. You go to Florida, the same thing. But if you go to Arizona, it is almost desert, so it is very, very hot during the summer, but there is no like kind of there is no dark, there is no like this cold, whatever. So they don't have this one. So in US, they are changing that way. But if you go to other states, they might have longer winter. They might have shorter summer because they are closer to Canada. Like if you go to Montana, North Dakotas, like those states, you go to states like nearby upstate like Vermont, you go to Wyoming. Those states nearby Canada, even half or almost all of it of Minnesota. So all those kind of states, they are very, very, very cold, and they have longer winter, so their winter can go for a long time. So at some of the states, the winter can go up to almost end of March or April. It is still very cold, and they're still receiving snow. So, and their winter starts, we say winter starts maybe in the end of October. Some of the states in July, in September, they're starting having snow. So it depends on which state. So once you want to come to America, you have to play part. Which state am I going? Can I be able to survive? So don't just, if you have two options, like two people, they're giving you two options. Let's say one option is go to stay with them in North Dakota, and another option is go to stay with someone in North Carolina. So you have to see, am I able to survive or to sustain the winter of North Dakota, or in the winter of Montana versus the winter of North Dakota or West Virginia or other normal states which they are not that very, very cold. So you have to consider all those kind of factors when you are moving. So even if you're coming to study, you have to look all those factors. But again, I have option to go to California and option to go maybe, let's say, to Ohio. Which state should I go? I will make a video about cost of living details, but this is also going to play. Yes, you can be excited. Oh, I'm going to California. There is no snow. It will be a good time. Like I'm back in tropical life. But do you know how expensive it is to live in California versus living in Ohio or living in Texas? So sometimes you have to accept all these kind of good and bad of one state over the other state, because those one will determine the cost of living. Those one will determine what type of job you can be able to get, and especially if your jobs are not more in the offices, they are labor jobs. So you have to consider all those factors before you say, I'm going to study in this particular state, or I'm going to stay in this particular state. So this is the things I want to share with you. Just make sure that you know a little bit of the weather and the time, like, because when I came here, it was during as I said, it was August 16, 2008, and I didn't know. I don't know why I didn't ask much about that. I know, like, summer usually it is, it's hot, whatever, but I didn't know, like, during the fall, at that time, what we call the fall season, I was up until maybe 10. That is when I was eating late because I'm used to eat during the dark when I'm African. So that was also something, an effect. So I didn't have much of the sleep. I have to wake up at 5 in the morning because the sun is already coming out. It's 5:30 or 6. So those are the things which they affected me at the beginning, but down the road, after a few times, okay, so this is how it works. I was able to see the differences and I was able to enjoy every season up to now. But if you ask me what are the best seasons for me, I'm okay with the spring, I'm okay with the summer, and I'm okay with the fall. But most like summer and the fall, I like most than winter and then a little bit of spring. Yes, people like flowers. I'm not that much of the flowers. What I like is the situation where I have more time during the day to up to night. I have more light. That means I can do so many things with the kids, especially. But also, even if when I come back from work, I can do things with the kids, but I can also do my own things. When they go to sleep, I can go and just like do some videos. I can do some book writing. In addition to that, I can have more time to do some outdoor activities. I can do some walking, I can do some running, I can do some anything I can be able to do. So at that time is when I lost weight. At that time I'm just very excited compared to the winter where you just come from home, from work, we are with your coats, just come inside, you just shower, just eat, stay in the blanket, you watch Netflix or movie, TV show. That's the day is over. So I don't like that kind of life. It affects me a lot, basically. And for me, sometimes I sleep a lot during the time of winter because when it is too dark, I think that is the time for me to sleep. So that makes a little bit not good for me compared to the previous, compared it to other type of seasons. So those are the things which I want to share with you. Make sure that you understand the differences and how they play to the choices you are going to make, where to stay, or if you want to work longer hours, what you want to do, what type of, I mean, it's just like, it's something small, but in a long run has a bigger effect. Because I saw the big difference when I arrived. I stayed in West Virginia for 1 year, then I moved to California to live for 7-8 years. The difference where you have 1 bedroom in West Virginia for 500, 400, and you go to California, 1 bedroom, the cheapest one you get was 1,300. That was the cheapest in San Diego, for instance. So that was the very big difference. You can see the state, which is a small state, which is not that very rich, and has snow, has a winter, and all those kind of things, versus the bigger state with a lot of everything. They have beach, they have everything you want to know, Disney, Hollywood, and everything, and the weather is perfect. Every day is just like just like 20 degrees if you talk about the normal degrees centigrade, or if you put in the Fahrenheit, is the lowest can go to 60 degrees, which everything was very pure. So that makes a little bit very, very expensive in California. So for me to compare those kind of differences, and now I reached a point I cannot afford the life in California. So I had to move from California to to Kansas City, Kansas or Missouri here. Kansas and Missouri, they are states nearby, and I live nearby at the edge of Kansas City. So it's just in both states. So that is the reason when I moved from California, you have 2 bedroom, for instance, for almost 2,000 or even more than that. You come to the state like Missouri, Kansas, or you go to Ohio, where you just use 1,000, you have 3 bedroom apartment. So that makes a very big difference between the two. So I was just, as I said, I was just walking around. So I'm just back home, and that is my home. As you see, I'm just going back. So this will be my end of my video. It's almost 8:30, I was saying. Everybody is already at home. Well, I ate dinner before I left. So I'm just about to go to sleep now. I don't know, but I'm sure I'll just make sure the kids sleep and then make book writing before I go to sleep. So sometimes I sleep a little bit late because of this kind of the weather, which gives me opportunity. And that is the crazy Benedict, as you can see, is just there. Yeah, so he's still up, obviously, because they are staying at home, not doing anything at all at this point. You want to say anything?
Hello.
Okay.
Do you want to say something?
Claire was taking a nap, so he's awake too.
So what do you want to say then?
Okay. Yeah.